started in a second. Please use the raise hand function and we'll get to your questions. Go ahead, Greg Pickle.
Hey, Drew, good morning. Thanks for your time.
Yep. How you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
Good.
Awesome. Drew, when you look at Ohio State on film, what have you seen from them so far defensively?
Yeah, I mean they're very talented at all three fronts of their defense. They got a great defensive line, two great defensive ends, and then their interior defensive line is also very good. Very experienced linebackers that are very savvy in what they do. You know, they know where they're supposed to be, and you know, they go out and execute their jobs. And then secondary, that's very talented as well. A lot of athletes on the back half of their defense, so definitely going to be a great challenge for us this week.
Rich Scarcella. Rich, I think you're muted.
Okay. Drew, what are your thoughts about playing at Ohio State, playing in your home state, and how many ticket requests have you received?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many ticket requests I have. I deliver that to my parents. I don't worry about the tickets because I gotta be focused on the game. I can't be more focused on anything extra other than that. But I mean, it's just a great opportunity to go back home. Obviously, we're going to be facing a top team in the country on both sides of the ball, and you know, it's going to be a great challenge for us. And I think we look forward to that challenge and that opportunity we have this weekend.
Audrey Snyder.
Hey, Drew, sorry about that. I want to stick with the Ohio theme for a second. As a kid growing up, what are your recollections of going to games there, of seeing the Buckeyes? Because obviously, where you come from, that's kind of a given.
Yeah, I mean, I did grow up going to Ohio State games, like a lot of us did in Ohio. Yeah, I mean, they got a great fan base, a great atmosphere. Going to be very challenging atmosphere. You know, they're a very passionate fan base, but you know, I think it's nothing we're not prepared for. We practice in very loud environments all the time. I'm sure you guys hear the speakers on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. So yeah, I mean, I think we're going to be prepared for it. But at the end of the day, it's just going out and executing our jobs and just being sound in our assignments.
Johnny McGonigal.
Drew, I guess continuing along that, you'd mentioned that you're not, handling any of the ticket stuff. You can't focus on that. But have you talked to family and friends about this game, about the opportunity that you have personally to go back home and play at Ohio State and just kind of the reality of that?
I mean, yeah, I definitely talked to them about it. But at the end of the day, like we just have to approach it the same. We can't approach it any differently. We can't change our routine about anything. We have to keep improving on our process as a team and as individuals. And I think so far yesterday, I know we had great meetings with like player-led meetings because Monday's our off day for us. So we had a great start on Monday. We just got to keep building that off today with meetings and practice, and just give ourselves the best opportunity to go out there and execute and just be very diligent in how we watch film and how we take notes in meetings this week.
Daniel Gowan.
Hey Drew, you're halfway through the season with Mike up in the booth. How has that gone for you so far? And what kind of role has Danny O'Brien played on the sideline as a bit of an intermediary between you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, having Coach Ursich up in the box is definitely very helpful. I mean, I talk to him probably every other series on the headset, so I'm still talking to him throughout the game, being very vocal with him on things I see out on the field, what he's seeing, just comparing, thoughts with him. And then obviously Danny's been a huge help for me and the whole quarterback room. He definitely brings something to the table for us. He's a great person to be around. He's a great coach too. And I just look forward to like meeting with him and Coach Ursich every day during our meetings.
Donnie Collins.
Hi, Drew. You guys obviously want to keep everything as similar this week as it was last week, as it was the week before, as was the week before that. But is there a different feeling around this game? There definitely is nationally, locally. This game's been circled for a while, but does it feel different to you this week? And if it does, how do you kind of try to balance that with trying to keep with that consistent mentality?
I mean, it feels a little bit different, but nothing too crazy from that standpoint. I think, we really just want to focus on ourselves. We as a team, we can't worry about what outsiders are saying, what national media says about us, because that's not going to help us achieve our goals. And they're not going to be out there helping us win the game. So we have to, focus on ourselves. I think we had a really great week of preparation, like I said, on Saturday last week, and we have to have a better week this week. We have to be a lot more consistent throughout practice. I know that's one of my goals going throughout this week, is just to be on top of everything, be very, very consistent in practice, and, just uplifting those around us and making sure everybody is, straight on the game plan and nobody has any questions by the time the game comes around.
Frank Bodani.
Hey, Drew, no turnovers this season for you and for your career. How do you go about helping to create that? What's the key thing, do you think?
I mean, I think the key thing at the end of the day is just taking what the defense gives you and don't take unnecessary risk with the football, especially depending on, the situations in the game. There's situations where you have to force things, and maybe that you wouldn't if you were up or if it was, in the middle of the game. But I think it's just taking calculated risk with the football and, just being patient, because at the end of the day, we can say all we want about taking shots downfield and things like that, but we have 3 safeties running deep most of the game, and then the corners falling off on our level routes. So I'm not going to throw it into harm's way and either get our receiver lit up or allow the defense to have a free interception. And it's very hard. Like I've been saying all year, it's very hard to, tackle Nick, Fat, and Trey out in open space. And if we can get those type of athletes, like our receiver room out in space, we're going to do that no matter how it comes. So we just got to take what the defense gives us.
Max Ralph.
Hey, Drew, kind of along the same theme. Just wonder if you can kind of provide a self-scout of yourself through 6 games this season, halfway through, where you think you've done well and where you think you've still got room to grow.
Yeah, I think I still have a lot of room to grow in all areas of playing quarterback. I think the biggest thing for me is probably just, being consistent in footwork. I feel like the times I have missed throws that, I shouldn't be missing is because of footwork, just staying a little bit calmer in the pocket, not burning clean pockets. And I've been focusing on that the past 2 or 3 weeks. So I feel like it's paying off so far, but just got to keep, hammering that down to make sure it doesn't cost us in the game.
Mark Wogenrich.
Hey, Drew, Coach Franklin, when he talks about recruiting, he always mentions keeping the best players from Pennsylvania in Pennsylvania. Now, for you being from Ohio, what is an Ohio football player? What does that mean to you? And he's also mentioned about you and your family not wavering during the recruiting process. What was that like? What does he mean by you not wavering?
You're saying like me staying here? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Staying here when the other schools were coming, were interested after you committed.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, one of the things I did during my recruiting process was not worry about the name of the school. At the end of the day, it was school A, school B, school C, and the pros and cons of each school, what I felt like in my eyes, and where I could go be best developed, not only on the field, but off the field. And, I felt like at the end of the day, for me, it was Penn State, and I truly believe that. And I think, it's doing that helped me a lot during my recruiting process. And then I always said during my recruiting process internally, like I was never just going to flip, after I committed unless something major happened, and, nothing major happened. So I mean, I was always 100% in with Penn State, and I still am.
Seth Engel.
Drew, we hear from James all the time that you're very steady. He calls you Steady Eddie sometimes. When you have a game like this, on your schedule, what can you do to stay composed and keep the other guys around you composed as well?
Yeah, I think that starts throughout the week. We can't change our process like I've been saying. We can't, you know, not prepare the same like we've been doing, because obviously it's been working for us. We can keep improving and keep adding stuff to our routine, but we can't, you know, drastically change it, because there's a reason we've been successful so far, and it comes through the process that we putting in throughout the week. And I think at the end of the day, for me, that's always how I try to keep it in my control. I never try to make things bigger than what they are or smaller than what they are. Just kind of, you know, go out and deal with it and go out and play, because, you know, I mean, I get to play football, fortunately, right now, and it's a lot of fun for me. And, you know, I don't want to make it where it's to the point where it's not fun for me to go out and play. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to like prepare like it's my job, but I'm not going to not have fun going out and doing it. And I think that's what we have going as a team right now. And I think we have a lot of passion on the team, and we're just looking forward to this opportunity this weekend.
Dan Hope.
Hey, Drew, just being from Ohio, would you have thought growing up that you'd be playing on the other side of this rivalry? And what's it like playing against Ohio State now?
I mean, yeah, obviously they're a great team. They're a great program, a great tradition similar to us. And, you know, there's just going to be a huge challenge this week. And, you know, we look forward to it, because at the end of the day, we all came to Penn State to play in games like this, and they went to their Ohio State to play in games like this as well. So we just got to, you know, take our opportunities this week throughout practice, make sure we're fully prepared for everything. And, you know, just go out and play sound football. Don't try to do something that you're used to not doing. Don't try to, you know, be someone you're not, because like I said earlier, that's not how we got here. We got here by being us, and we just have to keep sticking to that.
Derek Bass.
Hi, Drew. The close games against Ohio State are clearly a big story in the last couple of years. Having not really had too many in-game experiences in games where you have to go get some points to win a game, how are you trying to prepare for that situation that might come up in this huge game this week?
Yeah, I mean, we prepare for that throughout the week. Ever since really spring training, we have, you know, 2-minute situations, 4-minute situations, and all kind of situations that, you know, you wouldn't think are possible, but we make sure we cover them throughout our practices. And Coach Franklin does a great job of educating the whole team on situational football, and then making us go out and, you know, win situational football. So, I mean, we literally have a 2-minute drive every week, and some sort of situation against good on good defense, or good on good offense versus defense. And that's how we prepare for it. We've had some great like 2-minute situations this year at the end of the half. Especially, I remember a couple earlier games. I think Delaware, we went down and scored right before half, or kicked a field goal or something like that with under a minute left, with like one or zero timeouts. So situations have been popping up throughout this year, but we also prepare for them throughout practices.
Jimmy Watkins, Cleveland.com.
Hey, Drew. I'm sure Coach Yursich has been talking to you about his old coworker Jim Knowles this week. How do you guys balance Knowles' track record of having an aggressive blitzing defense with what they've put on tape this year, which is more of a conservative drop more guys approach?
Yeah, I mean, we have to go off what they've shown this year. I mean, we'll be prepared for everything. It's a very sound defense schematically. There's not, you know, they're not making a lot of, you know, huge mistakes on the back end. You can tell they're very well coached in the secondary, and same with all the 3 levels of their defense. I mean, their linebackers really, you know, are the vocal leaders on the film. You can really see that they kind of get everybody on the same page, and, you know, they obviously do a great job preparing throughout the weeks, and being very well prepared for their opponent's offense. And I don't expect anything different this week. They're going to be very well prepared for us, and we're just going to have to take advantage of every opportunity we do have.
Stephen Means.
Drew, just going back to your recruiting process a little bit, I know you started your relationship with Mike Yursich when he was still at Texas. Just how important was that relationship when he got to Penn State and getting you to commit to Penn State? And how did that relationship, develop over time?
Yeah, it was huge for sure. Just because at the time before he was really here, I wasn't really in contact here with Penn State that much. But when he got here, that's kind of when everything started happening with me and Penn State. As soon as he got the job here, and yeah, I mean our relationship continues to grow on a daily basis. I think we're more and more comfortable with each other in terms of like how I see things out on the field, how he sees things. And I think we just do a great job communicating, you know, what I like, what I might not like, and what he likes and what he doesn't like. And I think it's just a great relationship. And it's like that with the whole quarterback room. And obviously honestly, all the rooms in general, I think all have not only a great relationship with their position coach, but every other position coach on the offensive side of the ball. And I think that's really helping us right now, just because we're able to really be effective in communicating things with each other.
We'll have 3 more questions here, folks. We'll go Leah Doherty, Audrey Snyder, then Rich Scarcella. Go ahead, Leah.
Hey, Drew, Leah Doherty with 19 News out of Cleveland. Growing up in Medina, what specifically was it about that high school football program that allowed you to develop in the quarterback you are today? And do you still kind of keep in touch and talk with some of the guys that you played with?
Yeah, I mean, I keep in touch with them all the time. Our group chat is still, you know, pretty active. Yeah, I was actually able to go back during our bye week, and they played Cleveland Heights. So I was able to watch them play. But yeah, I think the whole quarterbacking took off for me at Medina with Coach Brad, obviously my quarterback trainer, but then Coach Laird. I mean, we were 5 wide the whole game, just slinging it. You know, I probably averaged like 50 attempts my senior year per game. And that's probably where I got most of my confidence from, just Coach Laird, just because of the person he is and the type of personality he has. And I think that kind of rubbed off on me in a good way. And, you know, I still keep in touch with all my coaches. Even if they're not coaching anymore at Medina, they might have moved on or got a different job. Still try to keep in touch with all of them because they're a big part of the reason I'm here.
Audrey Snyder.
Drew, during the bye week, Mike Yursich said to us that you and the receiving core, he wanted to see you guys get on the same page. What, if anything, extra did you guys do during that week? And what does it mean now having Trey back?
Yeah, I would say the one thing we did a little bit differently is, since it was a bye week, we didn't have a game. We didn't watch the next week's opponent on our Monday meetings. We decided to actually watch one-on-ones throughout practice from the weeks prior, whether it be red zone or open field one-on-ones. And, you know, I kind of let the receivers run the meeting and talk about their routes, what they were thinking. And then me and Bo would jump in and say what we were thinking versus a certain coverage, certain leverage on a route, and how we would ideally like to throw it, so we can really communicate that, and then they can now expect that when we go out and that happens. So I think that was the one thing we did a little bit different, just because on Mondays we're usually just watching the next week's opponent's film as opposed to one-on-ones, just to get a head start on them.
Rich Scarcella, and wrap us up.
Drew, how would you describe your relationship with Olu? What kind of guidance, mentorship has he given you? And how would you describe having him as your blindside protection?
Yeah, I love being around Olu. Obviously, he's a great player, and he has a very bright future ahead of him. I don't think any of us don't see that. And honestly, I've said this a couple of times before, but as good of a player he is, he's a better person to be around. And I truly do mean that. With him, I mean, we really bonded during the Rose Bowl trip last year. We were playing FIFA on the huge screen they had in like the little players room, like for hours on end when we had free time. And I think that's when our connection really started for us. But, you know, I have trust in all of the guys up front. I know I have their backs, and I know they have my backs as well. And I think that goes for the whole team. We have each other's backs no matter what, and we're never going to get down on each other. We're always going to uplift each other. And I think Olu's a prime example of that, just because of how vocal he's been as a captain and how well he's been doing it from a leadership standpoint.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, folks.